Folks, drama bin drama erupt drama. The expression opening a can of worms comes to mind. Understandably, when you open a can of worms, you should just be ready for anything, because you don't know what kind of worms are going to crawl out. Yeah, you don't know how fat and juicy these worms are going to be. Yeah, to your detriment. What am I talking about? I'm talking about sugar manenos. What else? What is happening is that sugar secrets are being unraveled at a very rapid rate. And what is clearly emerging is that the entire government is involved. Yep, nobody's clean. Now, before we go any further, let's get a few things, actually two very important points straight. Okay? One of the points has to do with where did all these sugar manenos come from and what was the objective. That's number one. And then number two, we need to understand the local sugar industry, yeah, and the damage that is being done to it. Okay? We're going to cover those 2 points very quickly, and then I'll give you the latest, absolutely unbelievable, stunning revelation about the sugar manenos. Now, it's as clear as day now. Okay, it wasn't several weeks ago when we first talked about this. Yeah, but now it's as clear as day that the exposure and revelation of the whole sugar manenos was done as a political tool to deal with a certain group of people within the Jubilee ruling party. That is no longer secret. You will remember that internal CS, Fred Matiang'i, yeah, whose docket includes keeping contraband products out of the country, okay, came out with a statement that stunned Kenyans to their bones, okay, that actually we had sugar in the market already selling to Kenyans, already drunk with tea consumed with whatever by Kenyans, that was harmful to the human body. Matiang'i actually said it contained mercury. Looking back, we can speculate that the way this thing was supposed to play out is that there was supposed to be outrage amongst the Kenyans. That one happened, okay? And then the public would seriously demand for the immediate arrest of those importing this contraband sugar, this harmful sugar to the health of a human being. And these guys would be arrested. End of story. Objective fully achieved. Now, obviously, this plan did not factor in the element of the other side responding. Yeah, the other side doing something to stop this plan working out, to stop the arrest. And so what has happened, the other side has come out with a very single statement, yeah, that they've kept in the media for a very long time. And that is in the form of a question. Who are the people who import this sugar? Yeah, we want a list. Of course, the whole objective of the other side is to make sure that they don't go down alone. That actually it's revealed, these sugar manenos, everybody's involved. And therefore, we should just let it be. Yeah, leave it alone. Completely resist the temptation to open the can of worms, because we will not like what crawls out. And what has happened is that the side that initially started this whole thing has responded by being persistent, yeah, that we must sort out these sugar manenos. The bottom line is that what we told you in this channel, I believe months ago, yeah, is that both sides have started fighting against each other, and as they fight against each other, they're spilling all the beans to the Kenyan public. In other words, both sides are telling on each other. Now, very quickly on to the local sugar industry. Now, the crux of the problem is that Kenya does not produce enough sugar to cater for its local market. And this is what forces us to import sugar. But there's something else. And this one is just sample this. It is also true that Kenya produces sugar very expensively, much more expensively than its neighbors. Uganda produces sugar more cheaply. Tanzania produces sugar more cheaply. Now. How is that possible? Okay, because Kenya is an industrial giant in the region. Everybody knows that. On paper, Kenya should be able to produce sugar much more cheaply than its neighbors. Now, I appreciate the fact that a Tanzanian or a Ugandan will be able to appreciate this point much more clearer than most Kenyans, especially those Kenyans who have never crossed the border, even to visit our neighboring countries. And so, let me quickly bring you up to speed. Yeah. For instance, if you're in Tanzania and you're selling something, you're a retailer and you're selling products. If you want your products to move very fast, yeah, what do you tell customers? This is from Kenya. They'll buy very quickly. Why? Because they believe Kenya produces quality. They believe Kenya is decades ahead of them. If somebody gets sick anywhere in the region, where are they rushed to? They rush to Nairobi, Kenya for treatment. Last year, when a controversial lawyer politician in Tanzania, I believe it's called Tundu Lissu, was shot at. His car was pumped with several bullets. His driver died, and he ended up with several bullets in his body, but miraculously survived. Where was he rushed to? He was rushed to Nairobi. Now, of course, the hospitals in Tanzania, the hospitals all over the region, very good hospitals. But Nairobi is just special, specialized treatment Nairobi, advanced treatment Nairobi. So how is it possible that Kenya cannot produce enough sugar to feed its population, number one? How is it possible that Uganda and Tanzania can produce sugar more cheaply than Kenya? How? The answer is simple. This thing is very deliberate, and it's deliberate so that people can make profits. If there isn't enough sugar in Kenya, it'll have to be imported at some point. There are people waiting to cash in. And it is important that the cost of producing sugar in Kenya remains high so that these people who import sugar make maximum profits. In other words, everything is done to make sure that producing sugar in Kenya keeps on being as expensive as possible. Everything is done to ensure that Kenya will never produce enough sugar to satisfy its domestic consumption. Now, the way things are supposed to work, is that the millers, the people who actually produce the sugar, have certain targets, and they're supposed to meet these targets so that we are able to meet our domestic demand. And when they inevitably do not meet their targets, what happens is that the government allows, this is very important, allows the millers to import the deficit, their own deficit. So if the deficit of one particular factory is 50 tons, they're not supposed to go out and import 100 tons. Now, this kind of arrangement is supposed to have sorted out our sugar problems a long time ago. How? It's very simple. When this factory imports this sugar, which is much more cheaper than the sugar they produce in their own factories, they make a huge profit. Now, this huge profit is supposed to go and pay the cane farmers. The people have already delivered sugar cane to their factories. And then that should leave them with a huge surplus, enough money to upgrade their machinery, enough money to upgrade their production so that we're able to produce sugar cheaply. And so you already know now, after I give you that information in case you didn't have it already, you now know that the Gazette notice by Henry Rotich, the finance CS, allowing the importation of sugar was all wrong. Okay? Where was it all wrong? Because it should have said millers are allowed to import their shortfalls, their deficits. Instead, what that Gazette notice said is that anybody, even Chris Kumekucha, can import sugar. Anybody is allowed to import sugar. And by extension, in whatever quantities. Simply put, what that Gazette notice said, shut down all sugar factories in Kenya. That's really what it was saying. Because everybody knows the kind of profits that are in sugar. People would rush there and make a killing. However, technically speaking, that is not possible because this sugar business, iko na wenyewe. You can be sure when this Gazette notice was being issued, there were some people ahead of the game many months, many weeks, sugar had already been imported, maybe waiting to be cleared, those who are bringing it in through official channels. And so if you're a nobody like Chris Kumekucha and you rush into this business, you'll burn your fingers. Maybe by the time your sugar arrives, it'll be impounded as one of the people importing the sugar. And because this game is highly political, mercury could even be found in Chris Kumekucha's sugar. I'm sure you get my drift. Now let us move on to the real bombshell. Okay, now that you have understood the local sugar industry, now that you have understood the politics, because this thing gets very confusing. You see different headlines every day. This person says this, that person says that. And if you're not from the sugar belt, you'll have no idea what's happening. But at least now, we should all have a very clear idea of how the sugar industry is supposed to work and exactly how it went extremely very wrong. Yeah. With importations, let alone the poisonous aspect. Because indeed, if we stuck to the rules, only millers importing the sugar, it would have been very easy to identify which sugar was contaminated and to remove it from the market. Anyway, let's quickly move on to the bombshell, and I'll do that in the next part of this video. We've already taken up so much time. Make sure you don't miss it. You know the usual drill. Look out for the link on the top left-hand corner of your screen. Click on it, and you should be there in a jiffy. See you there in a bit. This is Chris Kumekucha.